Good day, ladies and gentlemen. This is Sarah van Grennen, aka Mr. VG, and we are getting to arguably one of the worst answered sections in the history of all mathematics. Actually, I make it sound a lot worse than it is, but actually, I'm talking the truth. In all my years of a teacher, this is the one section of all of mathematics that my students struggle with. And I'm going to give you a secret to why that is. Okay. Or not a secret, a reason. The reason why this section is so badly answered is two reasons. Number one, students don't know their theory. Number two, students struggle to apply their theory, okay? But it starts with knowing your theory. So what I want you to actually do is just look at the way that I answer this. And this section about functions, about hyperbolas, it is so easy if you know your theory. So let's have a look at the actual question. So there in this question, remember this question comes from the Department of Basic Education, the Gauteng Department of Education, paper 1 from the November 2020 exam period. This is question 6. And I'm going to ask you to hit the pause button on your video and try this one yourself before you watch the rest of this video. So as I look at this video, as I look at the sum, I'm not even going to worry about what I actually want to know about or what do I need to answer for this question. I'm just going to start by analyzing f of x. Okay? It tells me f of x is 3 over x plus 2 minus 1. So the first step is, what kind of a question, what kind of a function is this? Well, this is a hyperbola. How do I know that? Because it's 3 over x plus 2. Okay? Now, hyperbola always have form in two quadrants because the 3 is a positive value. Therefore, my hyperbola is going to lie in quadrant 1 and quadrant 3. Next up, it also has asymptotes, 2 of them. X equal to negative 2, y equal to negative 1. That is what I know at this moment of time. At this moment of time, I'm going to also go over to the questions. Let's look at question 6.1. It says there, calculate the value of k if k comma 2 is a point on f. In other words, in 6.1, where am I? 6.1. X is k and y is 2. So if I substitute that in, I now have an equation to solve. So let's go and solve it. I'm going to take that negative 1 over, making it plus 1, or add 1 on both sides, depending on how you want to frame it. Then I'm going to multiply by k plus 2 on both sides because it is a fraction equation, leaving me with 3k plus 6 equal to 3. And now I'm just solving for k. So if I've got k then as being negative 1, but what does that mean for my graph? That means that I've got a set of coordinates on my graph where x is negative 1 and y is 2. Okay? Now 6.2, I've already answered. Write down the equations of the vertical and the horizontal asymptotes. Already got 2 marks in the bank. 6.3, calculate the coordinates of the y-intercept. So make x equal to 0, which means this is at a half. Next up, I'm going to look at 6.4. where it says the x-intercept, and then I make y 0. So solving for x, like we did in 6.1, I'm going to take that 1 to the negative 1 to the other side, times straight through by x plus 2, and I've got x plus 2 equal to 3, which gives me x as being 1. So therefore, please get this now, ladies and gents, I have 0, a half there as the y-intercept. I've got 1, 0 as the x-intercept. But I also have the asymptotes. And if I really need it, I've even got a set of coordinates, negative 1, 2. I've seen many of my students not making connections to what I really have on the graph. Or why do they ask me 6.1? Okay, because I might need it in 6.2, 3, 4, 5. I might just need it somewhere. So please be careful about what we ask and what it can mean going forward. Great. Now let's look at the next question. The next question says, sketch the graph of f, clearly showing the asymptotes and the intercepts with the axes. So I'm going to start with the asymptotes. At x equal to negative 2 and y equal to negative 1. Please remember to actually write those equations on your graph. The examiners want to see it. Next up, the x-intercept and the y-intercept. So the y-intercept is at a half and the x-intercept is at 1. Therefore, the one part of the graph is going to lie there. Why did I put that 2 there at the top? Because remember, I've got that set of coordinates, negative 1, 2. But also, I've got another leg to this asymptote, which lies down there. Fortunately, for exam purposes, ladies and gents, you don't need to actually have coordinates on that leg. That is beautiful, okay? You can just draw it in there in quadrant 3 and they'll be blissfully happy for it. But please remember, we will deduct marks if your graphs cross your asymptotes, okay? I know that a graph at university level, at AP Maths matric level, you do have graphs that cross an asymptote. But in core maths, at school level, you'll never get a graph that crosses your asymptote. So please make sure when you sketch your graph that it does not cross an asymptote. Okay. Now we get to a question that I always ask because I know the kids who work hard, the kids who study hard can score the marks for 6.6. One of the axes of symmetry of f has a negative gradient. Remember, there are two axes of symmetry. I'm going to pick the one that has a negative gradient. And it passes through negative 2, negative 1. Remember, that's where your asymptotes cross. Remember, that is your basic theory you need to know. And I can almost guarantee it, you're going to be asked this in the final exams, the June exams next year, the prelims, the finals. They love asking axes of symmetry with hyperbolas because it score marks if you know it. So I'm just going to substitute that negative 2, negative 1 in. And now I'm just going to solve for C. So in other words, I have y equal to negative x minus 3. Now I'm just going to draw that graph visually so you understand what it means, okay? So I've got this equation there. It is y equal to negative x minus 3. There I've drawn the graph for you. Now this is actually very important because in 6.7, I'm actually going to need it. At 6.7, it asks us, determine the value of x for which 3 over x plus 2 minus 1 is greater than negative x minus 3. Now let's first ask ourselves this question. That left-hand side, isn't that a graph that was sketched? Yes, it is. It is the hyperbola. Now, ladies and gentlemen, a bit of a warning for you, and please pay attention. Sometimes, just sometimes, they are going to give you a graph that's not exactly like the one that you sketched. Then you must first manipulate the one side to get it into what you've sketched, okay? Before you can analyze using the graph. But now let's look at the second part of that. They say bigger than, which means above. But above what? What is that negative x minus 3? Well, that is my axis of symmetry. Oh my goodness. That's why I had to draw it, okay? That's also why it connects to the previous questions. So please, please, please be careful. Question 6.8 is not where we are at yet. Sorry, I haven't answered question 6.7. So let me first answer it. Where is the hyperbola larger than the axis of symmetry? Well, everywhere on the right-hand side of my asymptote. So everywhere x is greater than negative 2. As simple and as easy as that. Because there my hyperbola is above the axis of symmetry. Now 6.8 is a very, very easy but very important sum for you because it's 3 score marks if you know what how to do it. So if I look at 6.8, the graph of f is transformed by reflection over the x-axis. Okay, that's important. That means that I'm going to replace y with negative y. Which means in my equation, I now have negative y equal to 3 over x plus 1 minus 2. So I'm first going to get the y alone. So I'm dividing or timesing through by a negative. And this leads me towards y equal to negative 3 over x plus 1 plus 2. Then it says it is followed by a translation of 4 units in the positive direction. Okay? Positive x direction. So in other words, to the right. Remember, when we are translating left and right, it's always, for me, opposite of logic. Okay? So it's my mind says in the positive, so it must be plus, but actually it is subtracting 4 by the x. Okay, please remember that. Moving left and right is always opposite of logic. Now they do ask me in simplest form. So I have to simplify that denominator. This is going to lead me to negative 3 over x minus 3 plus 2. Ladies and gents, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please tune in to the next video where we are going to go into parabolas. And then after that, we're going to go into exponential graphs. Man, this is fantastic. I'm loving it. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you'll subscribe to the channel. This is Mr. VG signing out. Cheers.